The emergency fund was started by Norman Stone, and it was originally intended to be a simple program to provide immediate relief, small amounts of money for people that were in a crisis. So if someone wasn't able to pay their rent, that they didn't have to go through a lot of bureaucracy and red tape to get $600 or $1,000 to pay their rent. And that was the simple premise of the emergency fund.
He obviously found people that needed housing and needed food. Now, he couldn't put the housing in the back of his trunk, but he could put food and other things in there, and he would distribute that to the 3 or 4 people that he had that were working in the neighborhoods.
So one day I got a call from the Stone Container Corporation, actually Mr. Norman Stone. And he said he'd like to have a meeting with me. And I said, okay, fine. I said, what can I do for you, sir? He said, well, I'd like to know if you would assist us in the distribution of funds in the area of near North and Cabrini Green. Well, as it turned out, I became a field worker for the emergency fund. I was doing the work, but I didn't have the funds. Like, for example, we were able to get someone a job. We didn't have the money to give them so that they could have lunch money and car fare to and from. And the emergency fund was a home run ball.
There's very few programs that can address a need in a very short period of time. I'm still amazed after all these years to hear people, clients, politicians, almost anyone ask, well, don't other agencies do that?
As Norman got a little bit older and began to wind down, Alan Stone took the torch and began to really get involved with the emergency fund. The Stone family was always a big supporter, financial and otherwise, of the emergency fund. But Alan really took it to heart, and at some point I think Alan realized that the emergency fund really was a homelessness prevention mechanism. By providing even small amounts of money so that people could pay their rent without having to go through any red tape, it meant that someone was in the crisis already. If it wasn't for the emergency fund, that family may have become homeless.
We could give someone keys to a place and an apartment and call it a home, but if they didn't have a bed, who provided that? If they didn't have a kitchen table or pots and pans, there was no one that provided that. And so we could marry those two services and say we're not only providing shelter, but we're helping to build a home.
Well, it's a known fact that when we work together, wonderful things happen. And so 2 thumbs up for the emergency fund, for Norman Stone, Alan Stone, and that wonderful organization.
It's not always about large donations. It's about giving and the intent behind it and how it's used and how it can be used. Very small amounts of money can make a huge difference in someone's life that are holding on to a thread and have lost all hope. So the more the better, but any amount is going to definitely make a difference. It's critical that we continue to receive funding for the emergency fund. It will make all the difference in the world. I would like to see it continue for generations, but another 50 years would be a good place to start.